So, this tutorial, let me just check the sound real quick. Alright, we're doing air dribble, ceiling shot, and flip reset tutorial. I had some trouble when I was learning how to do these, so I figured I'd help anyone out, like my friends, and anyone who has had trouble with this, just like I did. Just putting the thumbnail on this video. Okay, so my favorite one for all three of these, favorite training pack, is the wall to air dribble one. There's only 3 shots in it. It's by IP Joker. It's the first one in the browser. Okay, I also have it in my favorites. You can do that too. Let's just get right into it. All right. Okay, so basically, what's up, Eddie? Okay, so basically, we're gonna start with air dribbles, yeah? So air dribbles, first of all, here are my camera settings. Take those if you want, and here are my controls. You guys can look at my bindings here if you want any of these. I use my left bumper as my air roll, like my natural air roll. So you can take that if you want. So, okay, first step of air dribbling. You have to jump with the ball under it. Okay? Under it just like this, and bring the ball above your car. You don't want it to be under your car, because then you're going to have a tough time and you're going to drive right into the ground. So you want to be under it and boost right into it. Now, there are 2 different ways you can air dribble. You can either do more of a beginner option and hit it a few times, like this, or you could do more of an advanced one, get it really close, and basically dribble it. But we'll start with the beginner option. You get under it, you boost towards it, then every time you hit the ball, you should try to stop boosting. Unless you want to get more power on it. If you want to get more power, keep boosting all the way through, and you'll get there quick, but the ball will get away from you. So I'd go stop, then try to go as lightly as you can, because the lighter you go and the slower the ball speed is, the more you can bring the ball up. So here, I'll do that again. See, you can bring the ball upwards if you're going slow, but if you're going super fast, it's going to go straight down and come away from you. So, jump off the wall, get right under it, and just go with it from there. Now, a big problem a lot of people have, that I had myself, is the setup. So this right here, getting it into the air, because a lot of times you'll miss the ball, or you'll go like this and forget to jump off the wall, or you'll hit it into the ceiling. Just have a slow up the wall, jump into it just once, never double jump off the wall. It's a terrible idea, because when you double jump, it's just very unpredictable. I wouldn't recommend it unless you're going for ceiling shots. If you're going for ceiling shots, I totally recommend it. But for air dribbling, just one jump off the wall and go with it. Now, when you start, you don't want to be flashy, because if you're flashy, what's going to happen is you're going to get behind the ball and then you're going to lose it immediately, and which will give up possession and will not be good. You're going to want to get into the beginner stance if you're just starting and just try to get it up. If you hit it down on the ground like this, it's going to be very easy for them to save. So you want to get this as high as you can. The higher the better. Even if it's like mid-net. That's the good thing about the actual dribbling, is you can kind of control it more. So when you're doing it this way, when you're doing it more of the beginner way, where you just hit it a few times, you can't really move it. But when you're doing it the full dribble way, you can have a lot of control and you can actually move. Like here, I can move left if I want to. But if I'm here, doing more of the beginner way, it's kind of hard to readjust, unless if you re-catch it, which you can do. So practice that again. The air dribbles packed by IP Joker. Now all of these three, ceiling shots and air dribbles and flip resets, I set up the exact same way. I go right up here under. It just depends on how I jump. So if I'm doing a flip reset, I'm going to jump like this and get under the ball. So I can, you know, of course flip reset. But if I'm air dribbling, I want to be with the ball and stop right there. So basically the difference between what I'm doing there for a flip reset and an air dribble is here, I'm holding X, okay? But here, I'm barely jumping and I'm coming right with the ball. Okay? Now on a ceiling shot, to start off, you don't even need to jump. You can just drive straight up the wall, hit the ball, keep boosting. Now, there are multiple ways to do ceiling shots, of course. You can do a jumping ceiling shot where you jump off of here, which is slightly more advanced, but that will let you do more if you want to fake out your opponents more. So you can jump off the wall, then literally do whatever you want. But I don't recommend that to start. I'd say just... You can also jump off the ceiling, but that kind of takes away the point because you'd have to flip really quickly, which is fine. A lot of people do that. They jump off the ceiling, then go straight into it, which I don't quite recommend, but it's super quick and super hard to defend if you get it in a good spot. If you want more control on the ball and you're just learning though, I'd do the simple float off the ceiling. So basically, it's all the same setup. It's all almost the exact same setup. Flip resets, same thing. Get under the ball. I do a few spins before I go into the flip reset, just because that makes it easier for me to set up. Now, if you wanted to do it without the spins, it would look like this, which seems super, super weird to me. Basically, when I spin, I'm setting myself up. I'd find something that's comfortable to you. Now, flip resets are definitely great in games, but not needed. If you can learn air dribbles and ceiling shots first, it will make your life so much easier. Now, personally, I learned air dribbles before I learned ceiling shots, which, I don't know, I didn't think that was the right way to do it, but maybe it is. Because ceiling shots get super fluid, and you can do a lot with them. You can turn ceiling shots into passes, like if you want to pass to someone right side, or left side, you can turn over, boom, right to them. Or if you want to shoot, or do passes yourself off the backboard, you can do all that. So I think ceiling shots are definitely the best way to go with this game and on offense, but flip resets are definitely extremely important. Flip resets usually are a champ and higher thing, I'd say, but you can learn them earlier. You'll just be a little bit ahead, and you might mess them up a lot in game. Now, of course, there's 3 to this training pack, and the other ones are just different angles, which I'll get to. But again, with the air dribbles, either do the beginner way, which I'll show again, basically something like this. You'll get 3, 4, 5 hits, but if you can keep this controlled, that's what you need to do. Stay behind the ball, hit it right on the bottom, but not exactly underneath it, because if you hit it underneath, you're going to get in front of the ball, which is going to be super weird. So let's say that you get too far underneath, right? Now you're under here. Now what are you doing? You lost the ball. Your camera's going weird. You want to stay behind it, push that ball forward, stay under it, and the more you're under it, the more you can bring it up and get around people. So underneath, boom, boom, boom. Also feather boost. That's a huge thing. If you hold your boost in, you're going to run out of boost super quick, and you're going to lose track of the ball. You got to feather your boost, feather it all the way. And here's the thing also, when you're starting, don't freestyle. Do not freestyle. It'll mess you up almost every single time. I can make another video on air dribbling freestyling if you guys want, but when you're starting to learn air dribbles, do not freestyle because you will mess yourself up every time, or almost every time. Same thing with ceiling shots. If you're doing ceiling shots, do not freestyle because you will mess yourself up every time. What's up, Anthony? By the way, anyone that's in the comments, if you have any questions or want me to go over something again, I totally can. Okay, now this side, same thing. This would be the beginner one. Here, just nice and slow, get with it. And when you dribble it more, or you get more behind the car and have a little bit of a slower takeoff, you can control it more. So I can bring it all the way from the left to the right if I'm slower with it. Same thing with ceiling shots. The slower you are, the more they're going to get scared, the more you can kind of position, and you can wait for them to go. So they are in your hands here. And flip resets, honestly, are just super wonky. They're really hard to read, especially if you can hit them high, get a good flick. Now, I personally do not like this angle for flip resets, but that's just me. Okay, now this side. If you're doing something like this, you're going to want to do a super tight air dribble, okay? Keep it super close to you, because otherwise you're not going to be able to get around this. If you try to hit it too far over here, you're going to go straight into this wall, you're going to pinch it or lose possession, but it could also be a pass if you let it go. So that's something to think about. But you want to bring this super close and then move it back out just by air rolling. Or you could go straight down in and try to go for that top corner right there, which is tough, but hard to defend again. Or you could go on the ground. That's another thing. If you mess up an air dribble, you can always ground pinch, which I don't recommend if you're close to goal, but if you are, say, far away and that's your last option, ground pinching does always work, but I'd say try to actually air dribble as much as you can. See, like, ground pinching just, I don't know, it doesn't always work out well. Sometimes you can just land on the ball, or it'll just go into your half. So, another one. So I'm actually going to go into ground to air dribbles now. So, let's say this one. Misa's Training Pack 2. I'm pretty sure this is the one with the ground dribbles. Okay. So this is just basically double touches, or triple touches, or however many you want. You can also go to backboard here. Okay, so it's extremely important to know how to read off the backboard. You don't need to do anything fancy, but if you can read off the backboard, you're going to make your opponent's life a lot harder. If you can control this ball right here, you have so much to gain, and they're going to be scared. Also, you could flip reset off this. You could even ceiling shot, technically, I guess. But that's not what I would recommend, because you'd be wasting a ton of boost. Just the higher you get it, the harder it is to save, especially if you're in low ranks. That's how you're going to climb out of there. Like if you're diamond trying to get in champ, you're going to climb out of there by hitting it high, getting good shots, not missing the ball. That's a huge thing. You don't want to miss the ball at any time. If you're going to take a super risky shot that you're not sure will work or not, you probably don't want to take it unless you're very confident. I can make another video on freestyling, but as for this one, I say don't. It's not needed at all. Now some people, like myself in some cases, like here, I feel more comfortable freestyling, because it like rearranges my car and I feel comfortable where it is. Now, this training pack's really good if you want to learn redirects, and redirects are super important in this game. If you can learn redirects, especially off of passes, you're gonna have a very fun time, especially if you can have teammates that you can talk to. And it's hard to read off of a pass because it's a ball going two separate ways. Now, here, I'm gonna try, wait, here, give me a second. Let me see if there are any long distance area. Okay, so this one, I'm pretty sure the first one here is a ground to air dribble. Okay, yeah. So, here, what you gotta do, when the ball's bouncing back up, jump once, then you're gonna want to jump again. Get that ball up in the air, and then I jump again. Some people choose not to. Like, some people just... shoot. Some people just go with it, then keep boosting, but I like to jump again. Just because it... I don't know. I guess I feel more comfortable. Or I like gaining altitude quickly. But get under it. That's probably the hardest part of this. Getting under it and getting that ball up. So the higher you get that ball in the air, the easier the rest of your dribble is going to be. So again, you could do multiple versions of the air dribble with this. You could either go super slow, or you could go the fast air dribble I was talking about, where you use almost full boost. But that might be a little bit bad, especially on training packs like this, because they only give you once the ball's in the air to score. So I'd say try to go slow. And also, don't stay under the ball as much on this. Get it forward. The slower you go, though, the more control you will have if you are good with the actual staying behind the air dribbles. But I wouldn't... I don't know. This one especially is a very, very high level one, because it's difficult to dribble the full length of the field, especially if you don't know how to air dribble yet. This one is very good for air control, though. You know what's also really good for air control? The long distance air drag. Wait, yeah, that's what I meant. Okay, the next one. The second one on this is super good if you want to learn your air control. Okay, so I'll just do this one again, because why not? You can also catch out of air dribbles if you'd like, but that sometimes is a boost starver. Okay. So this one is super good for air control. If you want to learn your air dribbling air control, just see how long you can keep it up in the air here. If you need to get used to your air roll buttons, stuff like that. You can also see how long you could keep dribbling after that, but the air dribbling is the main part of this. See how long you can keep it up. You don't even have to go for the goal. I usually don't go for the goal when I'm on this one. I just see how long I can stay with it. See how controlled you can have the ball. And also, if you are trying to score, the higher you get it off the first touch, the better the rest of it's going to be. So what I'm doing when I come off the wall is I'm using my left, or actually my air roll, and I'm moving left and immediately going with the ball. That I went right. That's the same thing I do on air dribbles on the wall. It doesn't matter which way you go, just as long as you're comfortable. So we'll go back to the wall to air dribble. So basically, it's always the same thing for me. It never changes. Every time I'm on either wall, it's always the same motion coming off the wall if I'm going into an air dribble. So I'm always going to go boom, right. Same thing every time. Boom, right. Boom, right. See, look. Right. It's just one fluent motion. You're going to go right with the ball, and it'll be the same every single time. You need something like that. It's just like having a routine before you throw a shot in bowling, or before you take a foul shot in basketball. It's going to be the same thing every time. It's going to feel comfortable, and that's what I'd recommend to start, because you don't want to be up here just all confused and not know where to turn. You want to have that same thing in mind, so you'll never mess it up when you get straight into the dribbling phase. Because if you're up here and you're dribbling like this, that's going to be extremely difficult for anyone that doesn't know how to dribble. I also don't recommend that at all, because it feels terrible. It looks terrible. I mean, if you're just learning, you're probably not worried about looks, but just try to get something that, and also you can use an air roll. What would it be here? You can use an air roll left or right. I don't like to use my arrow right because my arrow right's on the right bumper, and I always have my finger on the trigger. The right trigger, at least. So yeah, again, same thing all the time. Same thing with ceiling shots. With ceiling shots, I always hit it right here, go on the ceiling, then boom. That's either a pass, double tap, score. You can do whatever you want. Ceiling, boom. Just under the ball. That's what you got to make sure you do. Get under the ball, hit it up. You want that ball to go high, but not hit the ceiling. Now, also what you can do is you can go here, then keep boosting, then get on the ceiling, so you're above the ball, which will give you some time to fall while the ball's still going up. So if you jump off of the ceiling, or fall off of the ceiling, you're basically going to be falling before the ball starts to, which is going to give you a lot of time to get under the ball and set up a play without the ball falling below where you are. So the higher you can hit your ceiling shots, the better. And what I'd suggest doing, every time you mess up like that, try to make something out of it, okay? Don't just reset every time. Try to make something out of it. Try to see if you can score, see if you can get it into a pass. That's a big thing. Don't worry about only scoring. Worry about passing too, see how you can get it up to a teammate. You can also, instead of just air dribbling, you can try to work on passes. So bring it here, boom. Or bring it here, then pass mid. Or bring it here, then backboard and try to score. Whatever that may be, just make sure that you're not focused only on goals, because goals sometimes will not be an option. So my teammates will sometimes be confused because they're like, I thought you were taking that air dribble to the goal. I'm like, no, I was actually bringing it left so you'd hit it mid. And they wouldn't be expecting it. Because if you're air dribbling by yourself, that is much easier than if you have a teammate ready to intercept that and score. So if I'm here and I air dribble to my teammate and he can take it from me right here, I'll back off and he can score. The other team will not be ready for that at all. I can almost promise you. Unless if you are a very high rank, I'm sure they will. But lower ranks, like let's say Champ 1 to the Diamonds, if you can have an air dribble pass to a teammate that looks like you're going to score, like over here, then bring it left, and maybe just drop it for them, and they would be over here. They could turn around quickly and score. That would be ideal. But then again, if you're going for goals, I'd say go with the slower technique and try to get it as high as possible. And also move it around as much as possible. So if you have to start left and move it right, or just fit it in one of the sides or one of the corners, whatever's not going straight is going to be the hardest for them to defend. So if you're going straight like this, and you're just constantly hitting the ball the same where it would have gone anyway, they're going to save that easily. But if you move it, if you move the ball from one side to the other, or bring it low to high, or high to low, however, it's going to mess with them. Or if you can get one last touch really late. So, make them think you're out of boost, and go for it again. Super quick. It's going to be super tough for them to save, and they just probably won't expect it, especially, like I said, if you're in a low rank. So, back to flip resets. Flip resets are definitely not needed in lower ranks, but they can be if you just want to work on them. But you can double flip reset and all that stuff and make them flashy, but I wouldn't recommend that. Just Bluey, what's up? But with flip resets, they are super good for getting over defenders and just getting around defenders, because usually if you're with someone that's not used to doing flip resets, they'd think your play's done right there. Alright, so they think, oh, he's hitting it with his wheels, it's not going anywhere, he's going to miss. But if you can flick it over them, it's going to be huge. The flick up is definitely the biggest part, because if you just hit it forward, it's not going to make it that difficult to save. If you can flick it up in the air, that'd be great. Yeah, like that. That can also go into a pass, or whatever. Now, also, there are double flip resets, which uses a stall, but that's not needed for anyone that I'm sure wouldn't already know how to, or ranks really high. You don't need to do that for any low ranks. Double flip resets are ridiculous. They're super hard to defend and super hard to learn. So, I don't recommend. But yeah. Now, here's another thing. You can mix some of these together. So, if you want to air dribble into a flip reset, you'd need to do a little bit of a farther apart air dribble. Like I said, the basic one. Then get under it. Which you probably need to get a little bit more under the ball. And then, boom, from there. But that's also a little bit harder because when you flip reset, you want to dive into the ball. Okay? So you want to boost into it and make a big impact so you hit all 4 wheels off the ball. So what a lot of people think when they don't get flip resets is they go like that and they're like, what? I hit all 4 wheels off the ball. Why didn't I? Because you need to dive into the ball. You need to go quick, use your boost, dive into it, and go from there. If you're just going like this and you're trying to land all 4 wheels, it's probably not going to work. It might, but it's less likely. If you want a cleaner touch, all 4 wheels into the ball, boom. Boom. Now, here, the biggest part is making sure you're not exactly under the ball, because if you're under the ball, it's going to make it super difficult. So you want to be almost with the ball, but not over it, because if you're on top of it, it's going to make it difficult. And you're going to have to come down like this, and you're probably not going to land all 4 wheels. But if you're barely under the ball, you can get under it, boom, you'll be golden. You also want to push it farther out when you're doing flip resets. So instead of an air dribble, when you're coming really close, when you're doing a flip reset, you want to push it out. You want to have that full jump. Then you want to get behind it. But with a ceiling shot, you could do it either way. You can either jump off the wall onto the ceiling, and the ceiling, if you want, or you can just drive straight up the ceiling. And then you could also jump off the ceiling from driving up there. But that's the problem. Sometimes you'll use your jump too late, which will just make it useless. So now you have no flip. But when you do jump off the ceiling, be careful, because you'll only have your flip for a few seconds. That's what's nice about falling off the ceiling, is you have your flip for as long as you want, forever really, until you touch the ground, which you'll just get another flip anyway. So that's why I'd say falling off the ceiling is the best way if you have a lot of time, because you can also confuse them a little bit. But I wouldn't do any of that yet if you're just starting. I just get a simple, and you know it's also easy if you're closer, okay? So if you bring the ball closer to net and you don't feel comfortable upside down, you could just flip over and do it forward. Crazy gamer, what's up? My bad. I didn't mean to ignore you there. I'm just focusing. Sorry. My bad. Okay. You can flip over. Boom. You could also make that a pass. You can read it off the ground, whatever you want to do. But if you want a flick upwards, I'd say stay on your back. That's the best way to get a flick up. But if you do want to either hit it down or pass it or double touch, like I said, it's a very good idea. Why do I do a tutorial live? Because I don't want to record a video and then post it. I'm just going to do this live and then post it again afterwards. Because, yeah, why not? Okay, so if anyone has any questions, willing to answer. Can we play, please? Hide your sweats. What rank are you, man? Or unless you just want to play unranked. You down? Possibly. That's another thing. You can also ceiling shot and do an air dribble, which is... It doesn't let me add other people. What do you mean? Yeah, ceiling shots into air dribbles are extremely hard to defend, especially if you keep your flip here, because they'll never know, really, what your plan is, until, of course, you use that flip. And if you jump off the ceiling, it would be difficult to get a air dribble off of it, because then you just lose your flip and there wouldn't be much point in that. Sorry, I'm reading. Add. It doesn't let me add other people. Why? That's weird. Yeah, I definitely recommend those, though. Once you get better at air dribbles, freestyling definitely is intimidating. I'm not sure that it's that helpful, but, you know, I definitely enjoy it personally, just because I think it looks flashy and I feel comfortable with it. But, I don't think it's definitely not important when you learn air dribbles. Of course, you can just go straight, and it'll be very, very, very effective, especially in lower ranks, like I said. The more touches you can get on it, the harder it's going to be to read, because that's the more you can move it. So if you're all the way to the left and you have touches over to the right, that's going to be a lot harder than if you do the basic, where you're going to have, like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 touches. The basic, of course, is just a little bit bigger of a jump. The basic is almost the same setup as a flip reset, but just, of course, coming with the ball instead of under it, because with a flip reset you want to pop it up, then get under. And same thing with the basic air dribble, which I don't really think is technically a dribble. It's more like a double, triple touch off the wall, however you want to say it. But you can bring this into a slower air dribble if you just pick it up from there. But usually the way most people start is just have 3, 4 hits off the wall. But I definitely recommend trying just this beginning start, so that's going to be the hardest part for any part of this. Just coming off the wall, getting a good start right here. Definitely going to be the most difficult part. So get into that, boom, left, face yourself toward it, man.